Good morning, filming from the home studio in Las Vegas, which is actually starting to come together nicely. We have stall bars, we have mats, we're going to have more stuff. So today's topic is going to be on elbow extension in regards to hand balancing, and if you've actually followed my account for a while, I did make a video on this topic maybe a few years ago, but I think I have more to add on that topic now, and if anything, I have a better production value. So elbow extension, why is it important? And if you're missing it, how do you regain it? Why is it important for hand balancing? Because it's what creates the structure. You know, we talk about alignment, and most people, when they talk about alignment, they talk about getting the shoulders open and the ribs in and the hips, and all of that is really important, but I would argue that actually the elbows should be the first part of the alignment, because even if my back is arched, even if my shoulders are not necessarily pushed out all the way, if I have my elbows straight, I can still find a resting position, because this is what allows me to use my bone structure to hold myself up as opposed to the muscular effort. Of course, it's more complicated than just straightening the elbows, but this is a huge factor, and it's something that I see that's missing in adults. And there are a few reasons why, but first test is just, can you straighten your elbows? Using your tricep, using your muscles, how straight can you get your arms? Mine are a little bit uneven. I actually have a little bit more extension in the left elbow than in the right, but this is the first test. If you can do this, you should be able to do this in a handstand. And of course, some people might argue that it's unsafe to lock out the joint. I'm going to say that for most people in a static handstand, it is completely safe to stand with a full lockout. Again, that's assuming that it's a static handstand and there's no kind of dynamic movement or especially jumping involved where you have to catch yourself. So that's number one. Number two is, can you do the same thing overhead? Can you straighten your elbows? Because now we're going to start dealing with shoulder flexibility as well. So the third test, and this is kind of a weird test, it's more a demonstration than something you'll actually do in the handstand, but it's to help understand why we use the alignment. So in a push-up position, you're going to go to one arm, and you're going to see if you can actually relax the tricep. So because the elbow is straight, it allows me to be able to relax the musculature of my arm, whereas if I bend the elbow, there's no way I can relax it. So like I said, it's more of a demonstration. You can see with my left as well. This is not possible if my elbow doesn't go completely straight. And again, it's not like you're going to be in your handstand and flopping your arm meets around. It doesn't work like that. But it's understanding how much more efficient you can be just because of this one joint. And you can, again, have everything else out of alignment, but if the arms are vertical and the elbows are straight, you can still find a good resting position in your handstand. And then if you have any plans of working on one arm handstand in the future, it becomes even more important, because if you're already working on one arm, you know that any small mistakes that you make on two arms get magnified and amplified many times once you do the one arm shift. And this is a really big one. So if the elbow is not straight, you have to completely change the whole structure of the handstand to be able to account for that. So very important. Learn to straighten your elbows. Now, there are a few reasons why people will not straighten their elbows in their handstand. Reason number one is it's a technical issue. It's actually a little bit more difficult if you're not used to doing that, because there aren't really any other physical arts that require that much elbow extension. So someone who's not used to holding themselves with fully straight arms is going to have trouble learning that because it's a new technique. The remedy here is just to focus on it, to put your awareness into the elbows. If you can straighten your elbows this much and you do this in a handstand, there's nothing that should prevent you from straightening. So you just have to think about it. Even before you enter, already think about pushing from your elbows. If you already have this habit of bending and dipping to catch your balance, it's just you have to start forming new habits. And to do that, you have to put your awareness in the right places. Reason number two why people won't straighten their elbows is a physical restriction. Could be in the elbow, could be in the shoulder. It's not something I can diagnose over a YouTube video, but it's just to give an idea. So if someone is maybe strong in pulling, their lats are probably very tight, so their overhead position may look like this, where they can get their arms overhead, but the elbows go out because the lats are pulling. So one stretch you can do to remedy that, maybe before your handstand training in between, is this one. So grabbing rubber bands, stall bars, whatever, and pull and open, pull and open. You can push with the bottom hand as well. So what that's going to do is allow your arms to get closer to the sides with straight elbows. And then the third reason is bone structure, and that's one that if you're an adult you probably won't be able to remedy, and then you're going to have to find some kind of workaround with the technique. So some people, and it's not common, I really haven't seen that many cases of it where someone's bone structure prevents the elbow from straightening, but that's something you really can't change. And then I've also seen a few cases where people would break their arm and then it would set in a way that doesn't allow them to straighten their elbow. So again, this is life. This is something you have to deal with. Now, if you are number 2, there are a few more elbow-specific exercises that you can do to help over time actually get your elbows straighter, and then you can apply that to your handstands or to your other skills. So if you're missing elbow extension because of physical restrictions, again, it could be a number of things, but usually what I'll do is actually just poke around someone's bicep tendon, forearm extensors, tricep tendon especially, because again, nothing in life or even most physical acts don't use this. So I actually, when I wake up in the morning, I do a strong elbow extension and I get a pop. And then that pop feels like I opened up the elbow. So I can imagine if I didn't do that for a month or for a year or for several years, I may lose the ability to straighten out my joint because I'm not working it on a regular basis. So that's part of it, but you can also release some of that tension in the tricep tendon, which might keep the arm from extending all the way. So I have this guy, the double crossball peanut, whatever you want to call it. Very simple. We're just going to put that along my tricep tendon and try to feel something, and then I can just slowly work my way up and down, extending the elbow, bending, rolling back and forth. Not really any kind of set protocol here, just trying to get into those spots that are tender and help release some of that tension so that we can find the full extension later on. So next I'm going to use the rubber band to try to create a little bit of traction, open up the joint a little bit, create some space. So the band goes kind of in the pit of the elbow, and as I lean back I'm allowing the band to pull my elbow away. And I can do the same thing. I can bend and extend, I can grab and just let the band pull me, I can play with the angle. But the idea here is we're expanding the joint a little bit. We're creating space in a joint that might normally be compressed in our regular activities. So I use a little bit thicker band for this one because it does take a little bit of force. I'm trying to stay in frame of the camera, but this is another really interesting exercise that the elbow feels more open after I do this one for me personally, and I've never really had a lot of elbow issues, so give it a try and let me know if this one helps you as well. Alright, so next series of exercises, it's going to be a little bit more hardcore, I guess you could say. We're going to put a little bit of pressure into the elbow to get it to straighten, and at the same time we're going to do contractions, so we work control of the elbow. So, fingers pointing back. The rubber band is going to go around the pit of the elbow, and it's going to be the eye or the pit of the elbow that faces forward. Get a little bit of distance, and so in this case the rubber band is pulling my elbow straight. So first thing I can do is actually engage the bicep by trying to bend the arm. I'm actually protecting the elbow from a dangerous hyperextension, but then I want to let it go, release it, let the band pull my elbow forward, and I don't know if you can see it that well, but I'm actually contracting the tricep. So a big part of it is also understanding that you have control of your tricep, the muscle that straightens your arm, in the end range of the elbow extension. So we can do a few contractions like that, bending the arm and then straightening the arm. So bicep and tricep contractions. Now, if you don't have the band set up, you can do the same thing just by using your hand behind the elbow to push forward gently. Basically like you're giving yourself an arm bar if you're a grappler. So other ways that it can help you is if you're doing gymnastics rings, it's going to help find that bicep activation for the straight arm skills. If you're a grappler, you might get a couple more seconds of resistance if you do get put in an arm bar. But same thing, I bend the elbow, isometric contraction, release, and then I contract the tricep, making sure that I have both of those. Second version, if we want to go a little bit more hardcore, is arm at 45 degrees, again fingers pointing back, and I lay on the arm and then I push away with that second arm. And I put as much weight on it as I need to. You should feel some discomfort. If you have restrictions in your elbow that prevent it from straightening, it probably wasn't a gentle thing that formed that, so you might have to use a little bit of force to get your elbow to go straight. Just go slow with these, be careful, no fast movements, no dynamic jerky movements, everything slow, controlled, deliberate. Let the body sink onto the elbow, resist as much as you need to with the other arm, bend the arm, straighten the arm. Bicep contraction, release, tricep contraction. So, third variation is basically you lay on top of the arm. So if you already have a lot of issues with the elbow, palm facing down, I have the elbow on the floor, arm goes across the body, so a little bit like this, and basically you just lay on it. Because I have pretty decent elbow extension, I'm not getting much from just laying on the arm, so then what I can do is start to lift the shoulder up as my forearm stays on the floor, and then that's my hyperextension of the elbow in that arm. And I can do the same thing, so I bend the arm, engage the bicep, release, straighten the arm, engage the tricep, release, come out of it slowly, relax. Again, go slow with these exercises. It's not going to straighten your elbow over a day, but over a period of a few months, working them maybe a couple times a week, you're going to start to see the elbows straighten again and restore your original natural range of motion. So a very particular stretch for the bicep and pec minor, and because the bicep is under the most length, it also makes it even more interesting to get that tricep extension in this position. So we're gonna lay face down, the arm, try to get a good angle. The arm goes internally rotated, so I turn the palm up, I take this shoulder and I roll it forward so that that front deltoid is contacting the floor. And what we're looking for here is the arm should be at 45 degrees away from the body. So 45 degrees off the vertical, rotate, and now from here, I already feel actually a massive bicep stretch, but from here what I can do is do that same extension of the elbow, and it's even better because the bicep is already under stretch. So chances are that if you have the control in your tricep to hit this extension in the 45 degree position, then you should have no problem doing it in your handstand, unless the reason that you don't do it in your handstand is for technical reasons, is because you haven't acclimated yourself to the technique that you're not used to. So hopefully this is useful. Again, it's just another detail in hand balancing that's not often discussed, or it's not discussed with the detail that it should be. So as always, let me know what you want to see more of. Check out my handstand ebook, check out my Vimeos. If you are interested in learning from me in person, I teach workshops all over the world. So down below, I'm going to have a list of where I'm going over the next few months. So I always appreciate the support, and it's better to learn in person because there's a lot of details that just can't be expressed over YouTube. But anyway, hope you found this video useful. Like, share, subscribe, comment below, all that other bullshit, and I'll see you guys next time.